RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief, our public broadcast. Fastest 15 minutes in the West, probably the slowest 15 minutes in the West. But let's see if I can just get my head on straight here. Today, of course, is Tuesday, and that means it's Pennacook Day around TRI. TRI's CTO, chief website developer, crypto aficionado, and all-around swell guy. Sjord's on the call here today. And the Afterparty, talk a little bit about developments in the crypto space and developments on the website and our engine that we're slowly bringing online here. Day in, day out. Sjord, you ready to rock these people's world? I see Sjord's waiting already.
Yes, we are. And in the meantime, we'll have our eye on the Netherlands.
And of course, they're playing soccer, but don't call it soccer over there, else they'll punch you in the nose. What's it called over there?
Football.
Football. Tastes great. So it should be a fun conversation here today with Sjord. If anything, I was actually quite surprised looking at the altcoins, seeing a whole bunch of little W's all popping up all over the place. Imagine that, eh? Heading into the end of June, beginning of July. I've been talking to you guys for quite some time about how usually this market does like to pivot around this July 4th holiday weekend. And of course, this is going to be just crazy, all these holidays, because most of the world, at least the Western world, will have a holiday on July 1st, and then the Americans have a holiday on the 4th, and they're probably going to be like a dead day on the 5th. So this is going to be a really screwy week or two ahead of us. But nonetheless, awfully nice to see we're finally getting to the end of this seasonal correctional window. Man, it is a pain in the butt. But it's got to be done. You got to clean up the excesses, got to wipe out all the Gucci sweater wearers and get back to business and sort of what's best practices. So it is now 7 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's have this free broadcast wound up here by the bottom of the hour. And then that way we'll head on over and hang out with Sjord and see if we can enlighten the community on his FA picks and, of course, like I said, site development and all that kind of fun stuff. So, all right, and there's DMAC over there on YouTube being a troublemaker as usual. Okay, what's our itinerary today? First off, let's take a look at the breadth. Interesting to see the stock market is actually pointing back up here now, S&P 500. And Chris and I were kind of sitting here trying to figure out how we would label this market state right now. And it almost feels like it's sort of like a tale of two worlds. You have the tech stocks all doing their wonderfulness. Of course, NVIDIA going crazy. You know, when you see NVIDIA's price, remember, I mean, this is how valuable this Sjord guy is. Sjord wanted to invest in NVIDIA at like $25, $30 a share. I don't know whether you've seen what it is nowadays. Ay, caramba. So if Sjord's interested in a name, by default, I have to be interested. You know, we had some, so as I had said there a moment ago, we have this sort of funny schizophrenic market state right now where it's like one day the oil and the oil stocks are all booming higher. Of course, the system spat out some beautiful buy signals on a couple of the bigger oil names that Mr. Fink likes and Mr. Buffett likes. So if anything, I guess that kind of makes sense. That's like old economy kind of talk. And then we have days like today where it's almost like the exact opposite, where we have sort of a flip where the oil and the oil stocks are all coming off, and you can see it's basically the old economy, brick and mortar, if you will. They're not very happy today, but it's like, okay, we're not going to buy brick and mortar, then let's just go buy Nvidia. And so Nvidia rebounding here up like 5%, and it's now like literally what are the I think it might even be rivaling Apple as the biggest stock in the world. Go figure, eh? Who would ever thought that? Gee whiz. Um, and as a result, NASDAQ is just powering its way higher here. It's a very schizophrenic world that we live in. And it's like flipping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Um, the end result, of course, for the broader market, S&P 500, kind of like what we said with the breadth indicator, is it started just grinding its way higher here because you have this dichotomy, sort of two like sort of almost schizophrenic markets. As a result, when you look at something like the S&P 500, it's almost like a zero-sum game. But at the same time, too, you can see Wing out. That's the whole value of these darn W's, and just slowly grinding our way higher here. And I'd also say, too, I mean, we had some serious fireworks there in crypto yesterday. We have been talking a lot recently about how crypto is actually flashing. Let's see if I can get this silly mouse to cooperate here. Like especially there on the 13th. Oh, come on, you. Anyway, you can see there 7th, right? We had actually dramatically oversold condition there in crypto. I've been seeing some fireworks. Maybe in the after party we'll actually look at the crypto breadth. I don't really like to show that on the public broadcast. But I definitely feel as though we're almost like capitulatory. I don't know if that's a word. Did find it interesting. Crypto top 30. Almost half of our index, our names are actually sitting as attractive, which is kind of fascinating, eh? The crypto market is setting itself up for some sort of bottom here. You can feel it coming in. Exactly where it is, it's somewhere around here. Anyway, when the W's do start coming in, and of course in the after party, I think I'll show you a bunch of these little ones are spitting out W's. I think I mentioned that a moment ago. So I mean that's encouraging that it feels as though we're transitioning into the summer silly season in the stock market, and that should bode well, especially if Nvidia and stuff are powering higher. That should bode well for crypto. So anyway, hope fingers crossed. Hopefully we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel here. Econs that came out today, nothing really startling. In fact, I might even argue that really it's just business as usual. You just have to accept this. And I even posted this in the lounge on TRI and actually, no, I didn't. There was some guy on the YouTube channel, watching these silly YouTube videos. And I replied back to him a long message. I mean, inflation's baked into the system. It's what's happened since the banksters took over the economy in 1913. And actually, I did a FYI. I did an interview with the Wall Street Silver people yesterday, and a very interesting conversation with Ivan. And actually, we walked through a number of the logical steps of why inflation's happening. Where did it get its start? Where are we on this sort of curve? Seasonality, why the market took a bit of a pause there in May, June. Very typical, very normal. But now that we're sort of heading out of that seasonal correctional window, you can actually start to see a lot of the inflationary pressures that this is just the world that we live in, folks. The great reset, whatever the hell you want to call it, bankster crookery. And it was interesting to see, of course, the China D's under complete political pressure, nothing to do with economics, and certainly nothing to do with what's in the actual consumer's best interest, the people these people are supposed to be working for. The Bank of Canada lowered interest rates recently. And look at the data that came out today. And what's even funny is on like the headlines on these news services are Canada's inflation unexpectedly rises. So, way to go, Bank of Canada. You're lowering interest rates in the face of actually inflation ticking up. And I went to the grocery store on, I guess, on Sunday with Liam, and man, you can feel the price pressures come right back into the system. Usually May, sell in May and walk away. Actually, I had a really, as I said, had a really interesting conversation with Ivan yesterday from that Wall Street Silver about sort of the seasonal pressures. And if anything, I hope you all enjoyed that nice little window of reprieve there. It does look to me like that has come to a grinding halt. And then what was interesting too was we actually had home prices down in the States. That data came out here today. And gee whiz, how on earth could you possibly comprehend the US Federal Reserve Board lowering interest rates in the face of 7% annualized house price increases? This is insane. I mean, um, um, you've actually heard, and I was thinking about this yesterday and even before this data came out. You've heard Jerry say on a number of these recent FOMC press conferences that the problem is this housing services inflation. That's the problem with regard to inflation. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. This all started when the central banksters basically bought up all these bad loans and then let them run off their balance sheet, which just means nothing more than, yeah, all this new money was created. It was all bad business, bad loans, but what the hell? We're going through the Great Reset. We have to hyperinflate the money supply to keep the debt game going. So this all started in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. We're now in the aftermath of all of this. And I find it hilarious when you listen to these news reporting services and stuff that really don't understand what's actually happening. Try and explain, well, inflation is the war in Ukraine. It's the pandemic and the supply chain shocks. Bullshit. But this is Uncle Milton 101, Economics 101. Inflation is nothing more than a monetary phenomenon, and them basically printing money like it's going out of style to save the U.S. banking industry there. That's the cause of this inflation. And the sad part about it is that you can't undo it now. It's done. So it's really just a question of how does this play out in our system and over time. I think what probably should happen is we'll now go through a period where the media and of course the 1% will conveniently blame things like labor. Well, it's trade unions, they're demanding higher wages because we screwed them over with all this hyperinflation. That's the reason why we have inflation now. All right, it's the war in Ukraine. This little Zelensky guy and that Putin guy. It's all their fault, right? Nah. So the point of the matter here is the Canadians go and lower interest rates here in the face of very strong inflationary pressure. This is actually a really bad mistake, and my hunch is that rate cut was nothing more than to try and bail out the Canadian housing industry. The bubble is basically popped here. And there are a lot of Canadians in big trouble because unfortunately, we have a lot of baby boomers all comfortably in retirement and all are heavily long the Canadian real estate market from a speculative purpose, and they're all dying 1,000 deaths right now. So I don't see the inflation problem going away in China anytime soon. And as I said, there's no way in hell the Fed could even possibly consider lowering interest rates with house prices moving up like 7% on an annualized basis. If they do lower rates, this number will accelerate. It won't decelerate. As well, too, and we always take this with a grain of salt, but the conference board came out with their consumer confidence numbers, and they actually ticked up this latest reading. Yet another anecdote that it's going to be damn difficult for the Fed to justify lowering interest rates if consumers are actually feeling better. I do think that half of the reason why this number ticked up was because of the weak energy prices that we all enjoyed there through May and early June. But as I'm sure all of you've seen, energy prices have gone right back up to the top end of the range, up $80 plus number. And so as a result, I wouldn't be surprised if consumers going to go back to the gas pump and they're going to be like, oh, Jesus, prices are all right back up top again. So I don't know how long lasting this will be, but I can definitely tell you that, with the house prices as firm as it is, I can't see anybody lowering interest rates anytime soon. So, there's your economic backdrop, party. Stock market price action itself, I think we talked a little bit about that earlier, so I don't think we need to go into too much more detail there. We've got this sort of schizophrenic market state right now, and the end result is S&Ps are up just slightly. The broader Russell 2000 actually down slightly. And frankly speaking, actually, our breadth indicator is giving the perfect reading as far as I'm concerned, where we're not really overbought. We are approaching overbought again. So we get back up here, especially if we go through the summer silly season. I wouldn't be surprised, August, early September, that's usually when the market likes to top. We're probably going to find that this thing's back overbought again. We can start looking at puts again. But at the same time, too, it's not like a screaming buy. It's just sort of like middle of the road. And frankly speaking, that's probably how I would describe the stock market. I mean, it's going to be very, very difficult to justify coming in and like actually investing serious money in assets that look like things like Nvidia. I mean, how can you pile hundreds of thousands, if not even more than that, into a stock that basically has gone straight up? And if this is the only thing that's driving the market, because the market weight of this thing is just so tilted, it's very difficult to justify coming in and buying something that looks like that. That's just crazy. At the same time, too, here is your rally here today. You can see where it topped out less than a week ago. We could easily play in this playground here for the next little while, and unfortunately, the public will get all torn up through that. So there's your backdrop for the day. I suppose we'll let's see what else. I guess we'll pop on over, talk a little Bitcoin and crypto. Have we carved out yet another massive tail here? Well, it's looking that way. This is a weekly price chart, so basically the week just started. We started out the week with a huge face rip down. It did look like we were going to start confirming massive M tops here, but they were able to calm the market down there above this tail here. So right now, I would consider this nothing more than we're testing the bottom end of the range, and that's probably what this image is. So notice potential inside bar here today. All you harami aficionados, you might like that. My conversation with you and the public in general over the past little while is I do believe now we're in a moving average sandwich, where 30 SMA should represent resistance to the upside. Notice that that'll correspond with this market structure here. And 200 SMA will correspond with candle body lows for trade location, reload zones, all that kind of fun stuff. And you can see the primary trend line. You can see this fast trend line. You can see how we're trying to accept back above this fast trend line. If we put in a harami here, then probably odds are we're just going to do a little bit of reload zone ping pong here over the next little while. I think you actually see this a lot better in something like Ethereum, where I think we have a pretty well-defined bottom end of the range. I do like the market actually having to come back and revisit this tail down in here. I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of the great reset level. Having said that, 61.8, 78.6 reload zone. We stabbed into Mountain Man there. and we just dead cat bounced our way out of there. Same thing as Bitcoin. You can see the moving average sandwich. 200 SMA is going to act as support. 30 SMA is going to act as resistance. And is this an inside bar? It's not as pretty as the Bitcoin one. I don't know whether I would really feel too comfortable about like calling bottoms here. What I think is probably going to happen here is if this does resolve to the upside, this is a bull flag. You can probably look at on like say an intraday chart. Like we could probably even do Foggenbaums off of that bottom there. Yeah, darn, when you have the trade thing on here, it's awfully difficult. Actually, it looks like I have on this replay thing too, so we should get rid of that. All right, there we go. So you can see the bull flag. So if this does resolve to the upside, I think basically probably going to go A to B and then C to D and head back up top. Boom, 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 boom. So right back into previous market structure fail level. That would seem logical to me. So we did obviously some serious technical damage there. On Sunday I had posted publicly that, oh boy, that was a really, really bad close Sunday. First thing Monday morning, they absolutely puked out. And now we're sort of just in this sort of recovery. And also notice too, remember I drew that ABCD. Notice how the target of that ABCD back into that original market structure fail and also back up against the 13 EMA. That would make sense. That's just pretty straightforward stuff. V bottom, and as I had sort of said, I've been noticing, and I put out a note on the site yesterday. I noticed that we go through like 12 bars of consolidation. You might even argue that we fractal topped here, and then we just sort of went sideways for 12 bars, and then finally we puked out following 12 bars. Boom, new trading range. Then we went sideways for 12 bars, right? Up, down, up, down. Let's get everybody all excited for the bull. And, all the bears give up, right? This is a new bull market. And then boom, after 12 bars. And remember, I talked about Sunday's price action and then Monday, boom, new trading range. My hunch here is that they're going to sit here for 12 bars. They're going to convince everybody that this is the bottom. All the bears will give up and they'll probably try and run as many stops as possible. But basically, we're in here. And then, of course, there is our July 4th holiday weekend. So if I'm lucky, you can see where the 2-to-1 take profit level is just below here. If I'm lucky, we have one of these kind of candle tails or whatever. If I'm lucky, I can get a nice little stab down into the profit level through this 12-day window. But I would not be surprised, especially with the size of this tail. I would not be surprised if this is basically our playground. 13 EMA to the upside. And really, you might even argue 200 SMA to the downside if we really puke out. But my hunch is that this reload zone, 61.8 to 78.6, that's probably the floor. I don't know. Have you ever heard anybody talk about markets bottoming through reload zones before? So, there's the state of the market. It's not really like we're bullish. We were absolutely puke out, freak out, suicide hotline bearish yesterday. We almost kind of hit a vacuum where basically whoever was going to sell has already sold and they're long gone. And now we're into, I think, basically a new trading range here. So enjoy. If anything, what I was most interested in, and this is a great commentary of Mr. Sjord and our conversation with him shortly, his name's like this hello. I mean, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. So we probably have a fun conversation with him about that. Little W's coming in on RSIs. Willie, of course, ridiculously stupid oversold. So the public is panic dumping here. I don't know whether we necessarily have any like bullish divergences on this particular name, but you can see, I mean, anybody who got suckered into coming in and buying this up at 20 cents, they're long gone. They've been absolutely destroyed here. So it sounds to me like a good time for bottoms to start forming, eh? And if we go through this, and I posted this on the site, and of course, we'll probably talk more about this with Mr. Sjorn, but I'm seeing a lot of like cute little W's all coming in here. I have no idea what this one was. This is one of the ones that Julian said social media guys were touting. You can see the W's trying to form here. This guy hasn't come in yet. But just eyeballing this matrix, I noticed that ocean, and I think this is a fundamental driver that might change the conversation from crypto's going to zero to, hey, you better get your coins all squared up. They're doing a big reorganization here coming up shortly. So there's a little W that's come in. I don't know whether I would necessarily call that a buy signal, but it is there. It is a W. But there were some names that I actually posted. In fact, one of our OGs, Eddie, I posted this in the lounge, and he's like, "Holy crap, that's a buy, man!" I mean, look at that cute little W. www, buy that w.com. So, I mean, they're there. If you fancy yourself a trader, this is actually a really good analogy of a relatively small risk window. That's you can see the double bottom broke out here. So there's your risk window. And I don't know, is there any room to make any money to the upside? So, there's never any guarantees in this game, but this is what I would consider, opportunity for risk takers. Ideally, of course, you want to try and maybe see if you can bang out a 2-to-1. Maybe sell, half of the position, 3/4 of the position, move your stop to scratch, and who knows? Maybe this thing just launches higher here. You don't know. I mean, yeah, I think we'll probably wind it up at that. So I am starting to see names like this coming in across the board. Whether you decide to take these kind of trades or not, it's entirely up to you and your plan. But for probably the better part of the past month or so, it was just new low after new low after new low, everything just breaking lows, breaking lows. So the fact that we're actually starting to see W's start to come in probably is like a sign that we're a hell of a lot closer to the final bottom and pivot low. And I don't know how many people are interested in crypto right now. Probably if you go on social media and you ask people, hey, am I going to get rich with crypto? My hunch is probably it's going to be a relatively negative response, which ironically enough for smart money, institutional type players, that's kind of what you want to see to actually start seriously investing. So go figure. Here's another one, this basic attention coin. I don't know who's running the bus here, but gee whiz, look at that. And there's a nice little free treat for you. So you're watching a free broadcast and you're like, that Beamish guy, he never gives us any free treats. Well, there's one right there. It has not W'd yet. It's just sitting there. But let's see what happens. I'll even leave that note on there. And let's see if that produces a trade. I mean, look what happened the last time it W'd out. Woo! So, if anything, that's an encouraging sign in this space. And considering the seasonality, this makes perfect sense. This is exactly when all of this is supposed to happen. Is it today? I don't know. But is the bottom somewhere in this window here near the end of June, beginning of July? I think so. It's not a terrible thought. All right. Why don't we leave the free broadcast at that? Slow and steady wins the race. Remember what your number one job is. Don't take no wooden nickels. Let's head on over and hang out with Mr. Sjord here. And he'll give us some nuggets of wisdom with regard to his fundamental ideas. ICWs. There's another one. Oh, look at that. There's another one. I mean, this stuff, the irony of it all is that it's not rocket science. It's just you have to be damn patient and damn disciplined and just wait for the damn W's to come in. And they're starting to come in, folks. All right. All right. Have yourselves a great day. All the best. Hugs and kisses. We'll see you all tomorrow. The only thing left for Brian to say is bye for now.